Hey, everybody, welcome into Bite Time. Harry McCullough here. Time to talk a little Lafourche Parish, and no one better to do that than with the parish president. He is Archie Chesson. Hey, thanks so much for being in. Uh, Ball never stops, right? Keeps rolling, stuff going on. So, what's happening in Lafourche Parish?
Yeah, Harry, thanks for having us. I'm gonna sound a little funky. I don't know whether it was being out in the cold for the Nichols Southeastern game
Oh,
or
yeah.
we went walking around the city Saturday night after the Eagles concert, and that change in weather just screws with you a little bit. But overall we're doing really well. I think everybody's really pumped up to get into the holiday season. I think everybody is super excited that in about 4 days we end hurricane season for 2022.
Right.
And we get past, knock on all the wood we can find, we get past that season that we all dread, especially after the last couple of years, right? But we still work very hard every day on believe it or not, dealing with Hurricane Ida recovery.
Oh, yeah.
We had over $200 million worth of infrastructure damage. So we actually had a guy by the name of John Long, who's the federal on-scene coordinator for FEMA. He's the highest guy you can get in Louisiana. But we had him in the office the other day talking about progress on our projects, because we get really frustrated with just the bureaucracy and stuff we have to go with FEMA. Dealing with every nut and bolt. We literally had a door on a bridge that was damaged because of the hurricane, and sent FEMA a picture of it and said, "Hey, look, we need to replace this door." And they literally sent back a request for information and said, "Well, how was the door damaged?" Well, we just survived a hurricane, guys. Let's think about that for half a second. So it's those little things, and we tried to explain to them after COVID, when we had all those American Rescue Plan dollars that President Biden did when he first took office. The federal government wrote us a check for $18 million and said, here's the 10 or 12 things you can spend it on. Report on it once a year, and tell us how you spend it in the right way. And I can't understand how you can just write me a blank check for $18 million, but when it comes to something like this, we're worried about how a screen door on a pontoon bridge was damaged after we just wrote out a Category 4 hurricane. So, we continue to push through issues like that. We've been working really hard with who will soon be Majority Leader Scalise and Congressman Graves on a lot of these issues. Senator Cassidy and Senator Kennedy have been real champions for us especially Senator Kennedy on the appropriation side, helping push that funding through the reimbursements that we have gotten back. We've gotten, I don't know, close to about $20 million back so far. Most of that was actually for debris-related stuff. We've picked up over 3 million cubic yards of debris, and after the Thanksgiving break, those contractors are going to be back in making last pass. But we had about 300 people sign up for the demolition program through FEMA. In May, believe it or not, we sent off about 150 of those packets. We've only gotten about 30 of them back, again, because of FEMA's just drag along process. So we're going to start to tackle those over the course of the next month, and hopefully get through those 30. And by the time they're wrapping that up, hopefully we have another batch that has come through, and we'll keep those guys busy for a while, and kind of deal with those houses that are still kind of lingering out there. People who walked away from their properties maybe didn't have insurance or didn't have enough insurance. Right. So we'll be dealing with that for a while.
So they've started demolishing some of them, or are you still waiting?
Well, we'll see. We're going to start
because I know here in Terrebonne, they're still waiting. Same deal,
Yeah, we'll start on those 30 or so properties right after Thanksgiving.
Oh, that'll be good. And you say you got a little cold. At least we're not talking about,
Yeah, right.
That makes a lot of a difference too, so everybody can kind of get back to it. So, like I say, the parish starting to run, and look, we see it in Lake Charles. It's been a couple of years. We see it here. It's been a year and a half, and it still feels like it just happened in a lot of places. A lot of places look like it never happened, but in a lot of places you can see where it's still a lot of work to be done.
Yeah, and from a positive perspective, though, we get people who are coming back down, either going to Grand Isle or Fouchon for different stuff. We've had people who have come down, right after the hurricane for whatever it was, right? And they're coming back for follow-up meetings or stuff like that. And they will tell you, driving up and down the bayou, it looks completely different, right? Because a lot of debris is gone, a lot of the blue roofs are going. In South Lafourche, we still have a ton of work, but those are people still dealing with insurance issues.
Sure.
Their insurance either went insolvent, or they're in LIGO with the Department of Insurance. So it's taken them a while to kind of get back to where they need to be. But we're slowly getting there. I tell people I gauge it, in percentages, and I think we're about 65% of the way back from an internal perspective, right? I think when we look at our buildings, our pump stations, other entities like the port, the levee district, that are still fighting through insurance with issues in FEMA, trying to get back into their facilities, that's going to take a while. But we're slowly getting back to the place we need to be. But we're still able to focus on stuff that we need to focus on. We're getting away from every day focused on just hurricane recovery and focusing on stuff we should have been worried about 7 months ago, but we didn't get to because of the hurricane.
Well, we had also talked about, look, you want to just be a parish president, but you're also a contractor now. You're also competing with Terrebonne. You're competing with the hospitals. You're competing with the school system. How has that process been, trying to find people that are big enough to do the work that y'all need to be doing?
Yeah, and it's tough. We try to take care of all of our local engineers and architects first, but the same guys who are working for us are working for Terrebonne and the diocese and the school boards. So their stretch is thin. When you look at just the workforce market, for those guys to go find a new engineer or a new architect, it's tough for them to go do that as well. Much less when you get into the construction phase and you're trying to find laborers or drywall guys or roofers. We've been going out to bid on roofing projects, and the supply chain is still an issue. We're seeing 45, 60, 90-day lead times, but just the prices are still outrageous. We're running things that are 30, 40, 50% higher than what they should be, or what they were pre-Hurricane Ida.
Right.
So it's been tough from a budgetary perspective to try to cash flow all this stuff. But much less when you go back to FEMA and you say, hey, look, we put a new roof on the district attorney's office, and instead of it costing $1 million, it was 2.5. Well, why was it 2.5? And then you got to go through that whole red tape process with them again, right? And it just drags everything out and everything out. And it's frustrating for the public. I know it's frustrating for our council. Sure. Every 2 weeks when they look at us for project updates and we're like, we're trying, right?
We got bids.
And they understand for a certain extent of the time, but it's been tough.
Now, when you get money like that from FEMA after a storm like that, is it an opportunity sometimes to upgrade things and use their dime?
Yeah, so a lot of what we're focused on right now is they rolled out this new program this hurricane season called some consensus-based codes and standards. So if we can find a code or a group of architects that agreed on this one kind of code structure, then we can apply it. So the perfect example is looking at all our recreational facilities, right? For a lot of years, we put up wooden poles with high-pressure sodium lights and just kind of aim them where we needed to aim them just to give kids enough run to play ball. We've actually got FEMA to agree to using the National Little League Code now, which goes to metal poles on concrete bases with LED lights.
Wow.
That are 75 foot in the air, pitched in the right direction, that they will actually pay for a lighting engineer to come in and do all this for you. So all of the parks that were damaged for Hurricane Ida, Raceland, La Rose, Golden Meadow, Lockport, are looking like we're all going to get brand new metal poles. And it does a couple of things. One is it says to FEMA, hey, look, you put up, instead of paying $500,000, you may pay $750,000, right? But these things never should blow over again, right? Yeah. They're bolted into the concrete, and if they do blow over, you just undo the bolts and stand them back up and put them back in. So that's been a plus. Where we've had some issues with that is on our pump stations. A lot of the older pump stations, we had discharge pipes built through the levee because that was the easier way to do it. Back in the day, we built higher levees since then, so we just stacked the dirt on top. And FEMA's arguing with us that, well, why would you take the discharge pipes out the levee? Well, if the levee breaks at that discharge pipe, you're going to flood an entire community instead of for you to paying to go up and over. So we're still dealing with it. I think we're going to see the recreation projects take off a whole lot sooner than some of the pump stations are, because again, they're asking us to account for every nut and bolt on some of these pump stations. Kind of like the door, we have a dent in the fuel tank. They want us to measure the dent and put a level on it. I mean, just the red tape with these guys. I understand why nothing gets done in Washington sometimes. But we're back to focusing on, projects that we had in the budget last year that were shoved off because of Hurricane Ida, just from a dollars and cents perspective, because we were pulling so much cash together just to pay the bills and keep things going and buying diesel and all that fun stuff. So we got all that straightened out, but we're turfing some fields in La Rose and Golden Meadow right now. Those two parks, we've done a lot of turfing work up in the Thibodeau area with Mayor Eshday over the years. So we committed to Councilman Shessel and Councilman Lorraine that we were going to start turfing some fields in South Lafourche. So those guys are out there doing the grading work right now, laying the base foundation for the
turf. AstroTurf.
True turf.
Yeah.
So it'll be kind of a state of the art park, and we have 3 or 4 fields to do in each one of those facilities. So over the next 4 or so years, we should get all of that done, which is going to be great, because a lot of these kids who are playing what we used to call pee-wee ball, right, or bantam basketball and football, when they travel on these travel teams now, they're playing on turf in other locations. So it gets them used to figuring out how your ball's going to react to it, and stuff like that. So it's done some good stuff, but it also allows them to play maybe when it's wet, right? Because you can play on turf when you can't play on on clay or dirt. So those things are kicking off. We have a lot of bridge work happening. If you've paid attention to the news, we've had some bridge issues in South
Right, a
Lafourche
little bit.
with the South Lafourche and Golden Meadow Bridge. Luckily, those are state bridges and not ours. So I've been able to kind of fend those hate comments off from social media. But we're going to be embarking on pulling some of our bridges offline and just doing some deferred maintenance, blasting and painting them, redoing some old motors and the balance sensors on them that keep them level and upright when we go down. And hopefully that stuff will carry us into the future where we don't see the issues that maybe DOTD seen on some of their bridges. But those sorts of things are kind of carrying us in the 2023, I guess.
Right.
We're almost there. We have a council meeting tonight. That's our budget meeting where the council is set to approve next year's budget that has a whole ton of road work in it, a couple $1 million in either one of the road sales tax districts in North and South Lafourche. We kind of skipped this year just with everything else going on. So we do have some road work going on, but it's leftover road work from believe it or not, 2021. So we're gonna have a few $1 million worth of road work happening. That bridge work will come online, and then we're doing some pretty cool stuff. We just cut the ribbon on a new fitness court at the Central Market Pavilion, the Tourist Commission property by Highway 90. It was a partnership with the National Fitness Campaign that we got a grant for, and then Oster St. Anne and our hospital service district really pitched in. And it's a cool little space. It's got QR codes on the wall. You can scan it, and it'll tell you how to use the different functions in it, whether you're doing pull-ups, push-ups,
And it's
squats,
all right
sit-ups.
underneath by the interstate.
And it's all right underneath Highway 90.
Highway 90, yeah.
So what we did was we connected. We have a huge loop walking track.
Underneath.
So we connected it to the walking track. So as you're walking, you can literally walk off of the walking track onto this facility, do some workout, stretch, do whatever you need to do, and then get back on the walking track and keep walking.
No, that's been a good area. I think y'all do festivals there and all kind of stuff. Just curious, what is a budget nowadays for a parish? Like I said, I remember the states being in the millions, right?
Yeah.
And now yours is probably $1 billion. I don't know.
No, it's not that. I wish it was. That would make my life so much easier, Harry. But I think next year we're right about 102 million.
Okay.
So it covers, we have 330 awesome people that work for us. So a majority of our stuff goes into salaries and benefits. But we did $29 million worth of federal grant work last year outside of the FEMA Hurricane Ida stuff. So it's $29 million we didn't have to tap into local taxes for that allowed us to do other things with those tax dollars. So our Grants and Economic Development Department has done a whole lot of good stuff finding us extra money that we can use. And that lets us put other dollars into other places. And things like the new animal shelter we're going to build next year. We're buying a new building downtown to give some more space, stuff like that. So we're kind of fracturing out from what you think government would typically do.
Yeah, no, that's great. No, I remember when, like I say, the States was in the millions, right? Now it's in the billions. Christmas this year should be fun, right? We got fun events coming up. Lafourche obviously got a lot of stuff going on downtown. Thibodaux, the higher part of the parish did better than the lower part, obviously, but they got a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, look, we got, we're going to get through Thanksgiving this week. And then that following weekend, we kind of start that Christmas season. We have the Christmas parade and the tour giveaway in Lockport on December 3rd. December 4th is the Christmas parade that evening in Thibodaux. And then I think the following weekend, and I'll double check next time I come on, but I think we're going to have a Christmas boat parade in South Lafourche again this next year. And I think they're adding a cook-off to it, trying to make it a little bit better. So I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully they'll call me and I can go judge the food, which is always the best part. But look, we're finally getting back to normal, right? We saw that with the fair and festival season from September to November with French food and the Gumbo Festival and La Fête de Vieuxtemps and the Hurricane Festival. All of those guys had amazing weekends, right? The weather was absolutely beautiful. It wasn't too hot, it wasn't too cold.
Well, we had great weather.
Made record profits, I think, those weekends because everybody is ready to get out and do something. So I think when you look at the parade routes for the Christmas parades, I think they'll be packed. I think when we get to Mardi Gras, it'll be even worse.
Yeah, right.
Between Lafourche and Terrebonne. But look, I've been thinking about this a lot lately. The school board superintendent and I have been doing some tax reform presentations, and I think the last time I was on, we maybe talked about some of that stuff. But when you look at one of the things we talk about is when we look at taxable value and what's happening in our economy versus some of the surrounding parishes, right? So when you look at St. Charles and St. James, those guys have the river, of course, so they get the Dows and the Waterford Threes and the BSFs. But the good thing for Lafourche is we're becoming that bedroom community. That every morning people get up and they finger out and they go to the river, or Baton Rouge or New Orleans. But when they come home at night, they come back to Lafourche, right? That's why we're seeing the housing boom in Thibodaux. That's why we're seeing, a couple of weeks ago, the huge expansion announcement by John Deere, that $29 million expansion to build cotton harvesters of all things.
Right.
Jobs coming from overseas, but coming back to America, but coming to Lafourche. And I think it's because we have all these cool things. We have a great school system when compared to the region and the state. We have a great healthcare network between our 3 hospitals, and although Miss Karen and those guys at Lady of the Sea are doing the best that they can to get those facilities back up and running with a temporary hospital, which is hopefully going to come back online the first part of next year. But that's why we're seeing the growth there. And look, while we fight things like higher insurance costs and people like me who were dumb and started to build a new house in the middle of what is now the highest inflation rates and the highest mortgage rates in town. While we're fighting all of those things, we're still seeing a housing boom. We're still seeing people want to come here, and it's a younger group. It's people more my age than maybe yours, Harry. But the first time home buyers, the people who are going everywhere else to work during the day, but they're coming back to Lafourche. So a lot of cool things happen. It's an awesome time to live here.
Look, all you got to do is take 308 to Baton Rouge and see the houses too. I mean, and they're not just little starter homes, right? It's a lot of, but you see the boom, and I think it's a little higher going that way, right? So I think everybody's going that way. Speaking from the flood existence and all, but Thibodaux's a great town. It's got a university and it's got a lot of stuff going on. So it is a cool place to go. Y'all tourism and marketing, the bayou and all that. We was like, man, maybe it's not time. Maybe we shouldn't be promoting getting people here because they don't have any place to stay. But now the infrastructure is kind of getting where you're welcoming people back.
Yeah, and look, Cody Gray and Ian and that crew at the Louisiana's Cajun Bayou, and we've had a lot of conversations over the last 6 or 8 months about how to get something bigger here, right? How do we get more conventions here? How do we attract a bigger hotel conference center setup? Because Thibodaux's great. We have the university, we have the things going on at the wellness center and everything going on around the city. But if you're going to host a big conference, something like a fire department conference or floodplain managers or whatever we do across the state, it's hard because there's no centralized point. And whether you're talking about going play golf somewhere or something like that, we have all the cool stuff. It's just how to mesh it together. And I think that's what you're going to see a lot of us in the government sector focusing on going forward. When you look at the improvements to Bayou Lafourche and what the Freshwater District and Friends of Bayou Lafourche have done, the recreational aspects are coming back. So it's time that we figure out how to morph all this stuff together into one big package. So we are going to be that destination. Yeah. When you look at those tourist numbers, they're always up. Lieutenant Governor Nungesser touts them all the time. I know Cody and Ian do as well. But just look at what happened with the Southeastern game on Thursday. The flood of people that came to Thibodaux to watch that football game. Right. That's a huge economic impact. You look at the Manning Passing Academy. That's a $1.5, $2 million economic impact every summer to Thibodaux and Lafourche Parish. A lot of cool things happening.
Yeah, without a doubt. And, you want to bring people in, but you talked about those river jobs. People don't want to live on the river, right?
That's right.
So a lot of, like I said, I travel those roads a lot, whether it's going through Vacherie or going through Donaldsonville. And a lot of people work there, and then they come home to Thibodaux.
Yeah.
So, it's becoming the bedroom community for a lot of those workers on the river.
And a lot of us do that. Look, a lot of us, they go to Baton Rouge. We'll take 3127.
Sure would be nice to have a straight shot, but
it sure would be nice to have a straight shot. But when you look at, like if you drive through Lutcher, right?
Yeah.
On that little span, it's a cool little place, but you don't see a whole lot of houses. It's all chemical plants or industrial facilities. You drive to the west side of Thibodaux, we have 600 new houses going up right now. So it kind of tells you what's happening.
No, and look, we need those jobs, right? But we don't want to live by those places.
That's right, no doubt.
I don't want to get into that
That's
talk.
Right.
But even from Destrehan and all that, it's real nice to have all those jobs. But it also is nice to be able to drive to Thibodaux and Lafourche Parish and have a nice place to hang out. Well, man, we appreciate it. Enjoy Christmas and spend some time with your family. Get to know them again.
Yeah,
and we appreciate it.
Thanks, Harry. Y'all have a happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, y'all too. All right, we'll be right back with more Bayou Time right after this.